Oh yes, international football has now been and gone. You know what that means? It's time for Luton versus Watford. Bring it on. This is where Hornets walk, and we're previewing that lot. It's the fixture that most Watford fans look for first when they were released back in June. It's finally here. We've got Aaron, Rio and Luke to talk about the huge game this weekend. Welcome. And we're also going to be asking them, of course, to pick the team and have a think about what on earth Watford need to do to win away. Let's get Aaron's view, first of all, on this. As a Watford fan, Aaron, just tell us as a neutral, what does away day feel like going to Luton as a Watford fan? Describe it. Describe your feelings waking up in the morning, going to the ground. What's it like?
Yeah, well, it's it's always a hostile atmosphere when we go there, and I mean, as we've already covered, the travel's a bit rubbish because we get shoved onto buses that we have to pay for, but no, there's nothing like Derby Day, is there? And I'm sure all the other clubs will say the same about theirs. It's the one you mark in your calendar the minute the fixtures come out, and it's the one you want to win more than any. So, no, I've only been to Kenilworth Road once myself, obviously with us being apart for a long, long time throughout my lifetime. But yeah, I'm excited to get there again.
Luke, describe the hatred between the clubs for us in terms of, you live in the local area, you work with Luton fans, you know what it's like. I mean, as an Everton fan, I can only talk about what, the dislike between ourselves and the Red side are, but what's it like? What's it like living in the area?
I think the fact that we haven't played each other so long, other than last couple of seasons, that makes it even more of a bitter rivalry, just because of how much we've been wanting to play each other. And I also just think Luton is quite a small club compared to Watford, and it's just like weird things like when you're in Watford and you see someone in like a Luton shirt, you're like, oh god, like I always like so if you're on holiday. I mean, when I used to be a kid and I was in Spain, if a Watford fan lived, it would be like you sort of like look at each other. It's that little thing that you don't get with all the big clubs like Arsenal, Spurs. You see them everywhere. You see a Luton fan, it's quite a rarity, and they'd probably say the same thing about us. And I think with the game and just the coach travel stuff itself shows how big this sort of hatred is between the two clubs. That the only way we can get there is by getting the Harry Potter bus and paying 13 quid for it.
No Harry Potter buses this time.
Oh no, Harry Potter buses then. I'm not even there for it, sadly, because I'm away.
Next year.
Save a seat for me in a Harry Potter bus next year.
Okay. Rio, you're the youngest fan that we have on our podcast. I mean, do you even get it yourself? Obviously, you've not seen it, I suppose, growing up. The tribal warfare, but do you so young understand the importance of this one?
Yeah, I get it now. Obviously, played them a couple of times season before last, and seen clips from I think it was like the early 2000s when stuff happens on the pitch. But I have to admit, at first when I was 10, 11 years old, I was wondering why are we rivals with them. I haven't played them in it was like 15 odd years at the time, and I was thinking, shouldn't like QPR be our rivals? But yeah, now I understand it, and obviously Edwards, one of our previous managers, one of many, going there has increased the rivalry even more, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it because we don't play them often, to be fair.
Okay. And it could be Edwards' last game in charge, of course, should he actually lose this game. Let's get some team predictions then, shall we? Let's have a look at the last team that we saw trotted out that somehow beat a wasteful Borough side. All right, Aaron, we'll come to you first. We want to win away from home here, so set this team up for us to beat Luton.
Do you know what? I've been thinking about it, and I'm half tempted to go unchanged, and the only reason is that at the back, so it has been Morris over Porteous for a while, but I've given a pretty scathing review of Porteous this season. He's been nowhere near how he was when he first came to the club, but against Borough, he put in a good performance, and there's no doubt in his sort of passion and sort of the drive he plays with. So I think for this kind of game, it's the kind of person you want to play. I think, like when we played Borough, Luton, as they're at home, are going to have a lot of the ball. In that regard, I think Sema should keep his place, because when we have a lot of the ball, Lucci's fine. But the problem is that he's definitely more of that attack-minded wing back, and he sort of leaves the defensive duty to the midfield and the covering centre half. So I think having Sema, who's a bit more conservative, will probably help. Ince, he's not sort of exciting now. Obviously, he's lost his legs a bit, but what he does provide is a hard worker, and he's great in the press, and he's intelligent with that. Whereas, if we would say bring in one of the if we were to bring in a young player like Bar or Vata, they're not going to have that positional awareness, and I think we might get caught out like that. So I think the way I'd do it, keep how it is. We've got some of the old heads in, Sissoko and Ince. We've got the passionate players in Pollock and Porteous, and then we keep Vata and Bar ready to make the impact off the bench.
Okay. Rio, unpack that. Would you agree? Not agree?
Yeah, personally, a few changes I'd make. Probably recency bias because he was absolutely awful last Wednesday night. But I feel Kiembe helping out with Sissoko and Deddy Bashiru we'll probably look to play kind of how we did against Borough on the back foot, listening to break, keeping it tight 60 odd minutes. I'd probably put Kiembe in there for a bit of stability. Obviously, in an ideal world, I'd love Bar starting, but I feel that's a bit too attacking minded. We obviously need our players to give 100% and the work rate off the ball especially. So I do like Jefferson, but I feel I might put Bio up front, and I'll keep Porteous in there. Given Morris, obviously he's been good, but Luton are a very physical team. Adebayo, even though he hasn't scored yet this season, he is quite a handful, so I'll keep it that way. And Sema did really well against Ben Doak on Saturday, especially first half defensively, so I'd keep him there as well, yeah. And can't drop Bond.
What about you, Luke?
I think I would make a couple changes. My only feeling around is because with a derby game, I want players to. I want people to know that these players have been around the club for a long time. We will trust them to do well against Luton. But I also know that Luton, a physical side, is always a physical game. So I'm thinking more about that strong physicality side, especially going to Kenilworth Road. So my two changes would be, so I'd swap Chakvedazzi for Ince, like that sort of just little swap over, and Ince would then drop out for Bar. I just think with Bar's strength and physicality and his current form, I think we need to have him just for that hold-up play, which he's doing really well. Jefferson Bio is just a toss-up. I don't mind who plays. They haven't sold me at all of who I think should play in that, so I'd toss a coin of who starts for them. And my only other question is between Andrews and Ebasele, in terms of like that strength sort of piece again. That I don't know if Andrews is strong or physical enough for that game where they're going to be playing long balls, which I expect them to be playing because of their physicality up top, and with Edwards' last game potentially. I would be a bit more physical and the stronger side. So I'm sort of thinking more about that aspect rather than the technicality of the team. I think for that we need to be really strong. I'm sort of also an about Rio's point about Kayembe. He wasn't great against Preston, but he did save himself the other day against Middlesbrough. So that could be somewhere for Ince to him to drop out. I just want to see like a strong physical side, who I know will give it all against Luton.
Okay. The next set of fixtures then sees us going up to Remembrance weekend before the next international break. If we have a look at your fixtures, there's a lot of travelling, I think, for Watford here. So you've got obviously Luton away, then Leeds away shortly following that. Of course, there's Sheffield Wednesday away to come as well, and Swansea away, and only 2 home games against Blackburn and Oxford. So briefly, Aaron, what's the minimum point return out of these 18 possible?
I think we're coming to the back end of that really hard run. I think Leeds, we never ever get anything there. Like it's to the point where I don't even know if I'll go to that one because I just can't be bothered. It's such a horrible away day anyway, and the fact that we always get thrashed. But I think Blackburn, we need to be getting points. Wednesday needs to be getting points. I think Swansea away is one of them like sneaky, tricky fixtures. I think they're plodding along all right. I mean, they've had a couple of like weird results, but I think they look a good side. So that'll be tough. And then the latter two, again, we need to be winning those. Home Park is a tough place to go, but I'd like to win it. So I think I'd like to see 12.
Okay. All right then. we wish you all the very best for your trip to Luton. Rio and Aaron, you'll be there, I think. Am I right with your tickets?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Behave yourselves. We'll hopefully, and hopefully we'll talk about it positively next week. Thank you all very much for watching. There's loads of Watford content there you can listen to. Go listen to Rio's Spaces every Monday evening at 7. Have I got that right this week?
Yeah. Correct.
Excellent. Go watch that. Go and follow Aaron on Twitter. Go follow Luke on Twitter if you don't yet already. Fabulous team that we have here. And drop us a like and subscribe. We really want to continue making this content for you, and you like and subscribing helps us to do that. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you the other side of the big Luton game. Cheers, fellas.